What's poppin' T Squad? It's your girl Keisha, and I'm here with another Real Housewives of Salt Lake City review. Thank you to all of my T Squad members who told me that episode 3 was up on the Bravo app. So I took my afternoon and I watched the episode. It's expected to expire soon. So if you want to check it out, head over to the Bravo app and watch it for free. But if you want to wait until next Thursday, you can do that and then just come back and watch this review. So on episode 3, Whitney, along with one of her friends, goes to an antique store because she wants to hold an event there in their secret bar. Because, back in the day, during the Prohibition era, alcohol was illegal and, people had to drink in secret. I think that's a really cute idea for a party, and I'm loving the idea. So, I finally figured out who Heather looks like because I've been watching her over the last 2 episodes. And I was like, who does this lady look like? She looked like the lead singer from the rock band Meatloaf. That's all I got to say. Google Meatloaf. Look at the lead singer. They look just alike. So Heather tells us that 5 of her employees are pregnant for the first time and they're all having boys. Like, that's crazy. I would never want to work there. It's something in them chemicals and shit. They probably testing them bitches like they lab rats. That's just too much. So Heather has gotten all the girls these little cute Range Rovers for their boys, and she's going to throw them all a baby shower, which is really sweet of her. So Jen gets dropped off at her house via her assistant who is older than her. And once again, the doll is dressed to the max. I'm like, girl, where is you going? You just coming over here to sit and talk? But she said, bitch, if I'm gonna be on camera, bitch, I got to bring the fashion, rain, sleet, or snow. So she had on this like blood red crop sweater with this high-waisted pencil skirt type thing going on with these badass heels that's once again feet out, strappy, going up the legs. Outfit was bad as fuck. I gotta give it to her. I love the outfit, but once again, I just feel like for the element, you were doing the most. But this is coming from a bitch that if I was in her position and was on a reality television show, I'm coming dressed to the max as well in every scene, shutting the girls down. Jen is most definitely trying to put herself in the rankings of one of the fashion girls, like Erica Girardi, like what's her name? Dorit. Who else can dress really well in the Housewives realm? I love what's her Leah from Real Housewives of New York style. I like some of the things that Lisa Rinna wears. Sadly to say, none of the black girls really give me fashion outside of Marlo. The rest of them is like hit or miss, but she's really trying to separate herself from the pack, and she's doing well so far. So Heather says that, her world shut down once, she got divorced. She stopped taking pictures of her family, meaning her kids and herself. And I was like, damn, girl, like you really shut down. Like what your kids do do to you? Like, goddamn. So she says, she was raised to be a wife and a mother. That was instilled in her from the time she was a little girl because of, the Mormon faith. She says that her husband was not the love of her life, but he was Mormon, and that was the correct thing to do. So she gave up her life and all of her ambitions to marry this man, and in the end, he ended up leaving her. So it left her in a space, well, what do I do now with myself? I've devoted my life to this man, to my religion, to my family, and he leaves me. So now what am I supposed to do? And I know that had to be hard for her, but I feel like that was God giving her a way out to be herself, to live her life for herself instead of for other people. Like, you weren't even happy. You weren't really in love with this man. She even goes on to say that she don't even know if she's ever even been in love. So I look at it as a blessing in disguise, what happened to her. So, Heather's coming down on herself, and she says, nobody on either side of my family have ever been divorced. I'm the first. My heart is Mormon, but she also doesn't feel like getting divorced makes her a good Mormon. So I'm guessing that guilt is the reason why she left the religion, along with the other things that she didn't agree with it. But like she said, in her heart of hearts, she still is very Mormon. And you can tell that because she's quoting, Mormon biblical references or their rules left and right. So I think she's very conflicted. So Jen says, so you should stay married and just be miserable. And Heather says 100%. And I was like, what kind of brainwash shit is that? Why would you even want to subject yourself to staying in a marriage where you're not happy, he's not happy, your children are going to see that you're not happy. They're going to believe that this is what marriage looks like and then replicate it and be miserable as well. Like, you shouldn't want to do that for your children. I hate when people say, I'm sticking in this marriage for the kids. You're not helping or benefiting your children by letting them see toxicity, negativity, sadness. That's not the proper way to show your children what the look of love and relationships are supposed to be. So Jen also says, if you would have stayed with him, you would have shown your daughters that this is what, relationships looks like. And that's not what you want for yourself. And I really hope that she took Jen's word, because Jen really gave her some really good advice in that scene. And I liked Jen there in that scene. So Meredith is at home with her kids, and she's trying to make margaritas. Her dumb ass didn't even put the top on the blender. Shit go everywhere. I'm like, girl, just be cute. Just be cute, girl. So we meet her daughter, Chloe. She's a cute young lady. I loved her little dress that she had on. Her son is Brooks. We love Brooks so far, but Brooks tried it this episode, and I'm gonna have to give it to Brooks. So Jen comes over after she leaves Heather's house to her house, and she says, that her husband is gone and her boys are out doing their own thing, and she's lonely. You know what I'm saying? She ain't got nobody there with her. So she comes over to Meredith's house a lot because Meredith's husband ain't never around. So both of these ladies are in the same position. So they talk about the 1920s party Whitney is throwing. And Jen says, we're going to do high kicks and stuff. And Chloe says, what is that? And Jen said, I would do it right now, but she would see my vagina or whatever. Cause I'm guessing she ain't got no panties on, nasty ass. So Jen then, however, leans back on the couch and says, kicks her leg in the air, says, grinder, grinder, grinder. And I was like, why is she saying grinder? Grinder is a gay site. Like, it's obvious that Brooks is gay. I didn't really understand that. I was like, was that her way of trying to relate to him, trying to be funny? He was looking at her like, what the fuck are you doing? You heard a daughter saying, what are you doing? Like, it was awkward. It was weird, but Meredith and her were cracking up laughing. They didn't see that the children were uncomfortable and confused at everything that was going on. I felt like that was kind of inappropriate for her to be like, grinder, grinder, especially if you and this little boy don't have that type of rapport with one another. So Brooks in his confessional say, I'm feeling really uncomfortable. Her vagina is in my face, and I'm beyond shocked that my mom would be around someone that would do that around her children. I was like, I understand where he was coming from. This a bit much. Like, you knew you ain't have on panties, but yet and still you still kicking your leg up in the air, showing your puss while the sun is catacorn and can easily see up your dress. Like, that was a bit much. You doing the most. Like, I don't know if this bitch was drunk that night, but it was weird. So Brooks and Chloe leave. So Mary meets up with Meredith. And once again, she got on a hodgepodge of foolery. She come in a red leather top that, ties up at the neck. She got on that wig that's sitting on top of her head like a hat. She got on pink pants with the red top like it's Valentine's Day, a black belt, platform ankle boots with a very sky-high heel, and her signature look, however, is this glove on her hand. I don't know what in the Madonna is going on where she's wearing these fingerless gloves. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's not a statement. I need for her to stop it. It's weird. So I'm like, bitch, you got carpal tunnel? What is going on? So Mary tells Meredith that her husband, that her son, Robert Jr., has a girlfriend and is pushing her away. This is her only child. Her and her son were very close, and she doesn't really know how to deal with him, not being all under her anymore. And I was like, girl, you got to let that boy go. Let him live his life. I'm going through the same thing with Kyrese, but I realize that he's a man, and I got to let him go and let him learn and fail and triumph on his own. But of course, I'm going to always be here to catch him. You can't smother your kids like that and try to make yourself be the only woman in his life. This shit is weird. So they talk about going apart from their spouses, and Mary says, I think me and Robert became partners as opposed to a marriage. Meredith says, if he thought you would leave, would that make him put forth more of an effort? And Mary says, I'm in an arranged marriage. There is no leaving. We have to make it work. And I was like, so if is in this will that she said her grandmother left her, does it stipulate if you divorce him, you get nothing, you walk away from this church? Or is it a thing where if you walk away, your whole family loses the church and he gets to keep it? Like, what is this thing? Because y'all told me that Tasha K did an interview with her cousin brother, and he says that there is no will. So I don't know what in the hell is going on with Mary and this whole will and this whole situation. It's weird. So Mary in her confessional says, I'm married to my grandmother's second husband. My grandmother made it clear that she wanted me to take her place in the church and inherit everything. That means the cars, the houses, the church, money, and to marry her husband. Don't think it wasn't weird, but I trusted her. I was like, at least she acknowledging that the shit was weird. She was not, 100% on board with it, but she went along with it because of, this is her grandmother's wishes. But I also believe she went along with it because of cha-ching. Mary says, I believe that if something knocks you down, just get back up. I learned that through my mom. She chopped up my heart. You could tell she was getting emotional. I'm like, what's going on with her and mama? So Meredith says, how old were you when you became disconnected from your mom? And Mary says 19. It was hard in the beginning. She was my best friend. Then she did a switch. It was the money. So the mama's allegedly from her is saying, she's saying that her mother switched up on her as soon as she inherited all of her grandmother's things. And I know that would, woo, like you skip over me, your daughter, for my daughter, and leave everything to her. Like, what was going on with the mama that the grandmama was like, nope, I'm not going to leave this to you. I'm going to leave it to your daughter. Like, that had to be a slight. But at the end of the day, this isn't Mary's fault how your mother felt. That was whatever you and your mama had going on. So, Mary in her confessional says, I was 22 when we got married. My mom had a fit because she was the one that wanted to marry Robert. Weird. Mama wanted the money too. She wanted to take over the church. The wedding night, everything was weird. Thank goodness I was on my period. I stretched it out for like 28 days. He would come and be like, you still in your period? I'd be like, yep. I was like, at least she kept it a buck that she wasn't trying to fuck that old nigga. So she was like, she had to pray on it, and it eventually ended up working out for her. So Mary says, I had to detox the people that weren't beneficial to my life. And Meredith says, there are good people. You have to let them into your life. Mary says, are you good with that? And Meredith says, I believe I am, but sometimes I second guess myself, and that's when I get in trouble. And they did that little sound with the music and pointed the camera to Mary, which made me feel like some shit gonna go down between her and Mary in the future, or maybe that was an indication of what's to come between Meredith and Jen. So Meredith says that she would love to come to Mary's church with Whitney and her dad. And I was like, I'm loving the fact that they are coming outside of their comfort zone and going to this church to see, what she does. I appreciated that. So Meredith is at home with Brooks in the kitchen. And he said when he found out about the separation between his parents, that he left school and came back home to be there for his mama and to work on his clothing line. So Meredith says, what's going on? And Brooks says, I think you should tell Jen that he said, I think you could tell that Chloe and I were uncomfortable when Jen was here. And Meredith apologized. She was like, I'm sorry or whatever. And Brooks was like, Chloe and I saw parts of her that we shouldn't have seen. So Meredith was like, well, she wanted to have a sleepover on Saturday. And Brooks says, well, that's definitely not happening. Me and Chloe wanted to spend time with you. And I was like, okay, now I understand that you was uncomfortable, young Brooks. It made you feel some type of way. It was very inappropriate, but I'm the mom and you the child. Who you talking to? You ain't gonna tell me who gonna come over in my house and spend the night. Now, granted, what she did was wrong, but you ain't my mama or my daddy. Like, excuse you, sir. Have several seats where you get popped in your mouth. And Meredith has cowards to her own son, like he her man, like he paid the bills up in this motherfucker, and says, I'll text her and tell her we're not gonna have a sleepover. The fuck is going on? So you can cower down to your son, but you can't even let your nigga, your husband, see your text message conversations. Okay, girl, bye for Meredith, bye fool. And all I got to say is Meredith confessional wig and her new look is horrendous. It looked like it was synthetic. It wasn't, I don't know what the fuck was going on. Who slapped that shit on the top of her head? It was black. It didn't match her skin tone. It was horrendous. So Mary's at home with her husband, Robert Sr., and we get to see their home life. And he talking about, they need to get the stove fixed. And she was like, why would you pay somebody? I can do it. You can tell they have a really good relationship with each other. Despite the background of how they got together, you can tell that they have a respect and a rapport with one another. I don't know if it's a deep rooted love on her end, but you can tell that he cares a lot about her. So she says, Robert says, thank you, Miss Mary. And I was like, why you kept on calling her Miss Mary? I was like, it's just weird. It gives me heavily calling her husband daddy and him calling her buddy vibes. Like, it's just weird, especially with the circumstance. And he talks, thank you, Miss Mary. Thank you, Miss Mary. I was like, what in the color purple? So Mary says that, Robert Jr. isn't learning anything at his school. And Robert says he's spoiled. And she was like, where did he get it from? Y'all spoiled. And he was like, I know you ain't talking. You are a brat. So you can tell he gives her anything that she wants, probably. So Mary, in her confessional, says, when we got married, I had to get to know him. And I was like, wow, my grandmother really had got it right. If I could pick a guy, this is what I pick for myself. But when I had Junior, I drifted into being a mom, and he drifted into being Robert Sr. So she says that at some point in their relationship, she really, was feeling him. She grew to love him and everything. But once she had her baby, they kind of like drifted apart because she focused more on their son than him. I don't believe that. I think that Mary got comfortable in the relationship because she had to. She had to figure out a way. She gave him a child. That was probably one of the stipulations too. She did what she had to do, and now we just buddies. I don't see them having sex. I just don't see it. You could tell he caters to her. He was in there making breakfast for her. She was sitting down. He was giving her drinks. You could tell that he's into her, but she's not into him. She's just going along with the get along because she has to. And she's comfortable with that. She gets to shop. She got her son. She got the beautiful house. She's the first lady. She got everything she wanted except for love. I don't believe her when she says that, everything worked out for the best. I don't believe that at all. But, of course, she's not going to say anything different. So Mary says, he needs to go to a boarding school. I found one in LA. He's too distracted with this infatuation with this girl. Now, I agree. I don't think that it's an infatuation. This is his first love. We all know how that felt. But at the same time, you need to be focusing on school. This little girl, if she's the one, will be there. So I agree with her because I'm an advocate for school as well. So Robert Jr. comes down and Mary says, you don't want to go to boarding school, even if it's co-ed. And he was like, I feel like it isn't necessary. I can't be without my girlfriend. And she was like, what the fuck? And he was like, or you or y'all either. She was like, oh, so she's in front of us? And I was like, exactly. Oh, yeah, nigga, you got to go. You got to go. You going to somebody's school to get away from this little heifer. So Mary was like, it's clear you're going to a different school. You're like, that. He was like, yeah. So I applaud Mary for, putting her foot down like, yeah, we got to put a handle on this. So Whitney and her dad, Steve, go to Mary's church. They both haven't been to church in years. I myself have not stepped foot in nobody's church in over like 15 years. But I have recently joined Sheridan's church. So I'm excited about that. So Meredith is there too. The choir is singing. You know how it is in a black church or whatever. Meredith leans over to Whitney and says, it's a party. Like, they had never seen anything like this. Like, oh my God, it's like a jazz band up in here. Like, they didn't know what the hell was going on. But they was clapping and they was enjoying themselves. So Mary come down through the crowd like she Jay-Z or somebody. Like, Mary was feeling herself. In that realm, Mary is Beyonce. So Meredith in her confessional says, I'm Jewish, but I'm really impressed with how Mary connects with her church. Like, everybody was in a hooping and howling, praising Jesus and falling out. And, at one point, Mary preaches to Whitney and Meredith and, Whitney's dad, Steve, and he becomes very emotional. He's crying. You can tell that he, caught the spirit. He really got a word. And I love that she was able to reach him in that capacity. So Jen is getting her makeup done and it's beat to perfection. Her makeup artist did a really good job, but they're practicing for the 1920s party, which is the following night. I was like, this bitch ain't got shit else to do with her time. So, we learn that she has what she calls the Shaw Squad, which is all of these people that work for her because her husband is never around. Her kids, are teenagers or adults. So she ain't really got nobody to be around her. So basically, she's hired people to work for her and to be her friend, which is very sad, very very sad. Because at the end of the day, they ain't gonna want to lose their job, so they're gonna be yes people towards you, so you don't even know if they for you or not. So Jen tells them that Meredith canceled the sleepover to be with Chloe. And in her confessional, she says, Chloe don't want to spend time with you. She's in college. My feelings are really hurt now. And I was like, well, you can't really say that. If she's in college and she came home, obviously you want to spend time with your child. But I wish that Meredith would have just told her the truth. Like, what you did made my kids uncomfortable. So I just want to handle that situation. When Chloe leaves, maybe we could do it then. So it's the night of Heather's baby shower for her employees. It's an all white thing, which is really cute. Jen comes decked out again with this what was it? A strapless feather dress, cocktail dress, and these badass wraparound heels that wrapped all the way up her leg over past her knee. The look was fabulous. Was it doing too much for a baby shower? Yes, bitch, because you look better than the bitches that was the baby shower was for, but she looked bomb as fuck. I'm loving her fashions. Whitney was there. Whitney was theme appropriate. She had on like this turtleneck white shirt, long sleeve, these high-waisted white wide leg pants. She just looked sophisticated and chic. Love Whitney style. So they all go in the back to talk about the 20s party, and Whitney says, I'm going to start a clean slate with Lisa. Like, I'm serious about this. So Jen says, hold up, is Mary Cosby coming? And Whitney was like, yeah. And she was like, why? And she was like, I like Mary. And Heather says, can you have a clean slate with her? And Jen was like, she's irrelevant. I don't care about her. Just don't attack my family. I mean, she admitted that she said it. Heather in her confession was like, Mary apologized. She accepted it. So why are we coming back here again? And I was like, exactly. And that's what I told y'all on my review of episode 2. She shouldn't have accepted her apology if she knew that she really was still feeling some type of way. Like, that's stupid. Like, say what you mean what you say. So now you kicking up dust for what? The woman apologized to you. It wasn't like she said, fuck your auntie. It wasn't like she said that old legless ass bitch. She said you smell like hospital. She basically said you stink. I understand you was going through something, but it's not that goddamn deep. Either you gonna fuck with her or you not. But to be having an attitude and trying to tell Whitney who can come to a party, like, girl, go sit the fuck down. And this is when Jen became a problem for me. And I knew it was going to happen. I was like, here we go. This is when I stopped liking Jen. So Jen in her confessional says, when she made that comment about my aunt, it hurt me to the core. That just proves to me that Mary doesn't really care about my feelings. And she has every right to feel the way that she feels. It would have hurt my feelings too or whatever, because it was an insensitive comment. But at the end of the day, she apologized. What more can she fucking do at the end of the day? So Whitney tells her that she loved going to Mary's church and how, it helped her father. And Jen is rolling her eyes, which I felt was insensitive to the situation. So Whitney says, me and Meredith were hugging, and Jen was like, Meredith went to her church. Like, she is pissed off because you could tell she petty and was on some, so you can have a sleepover with me, but you can go to Mary church. Oh, okay. Like, girl, how old are you? We are not in the 4th grade. So Jen in her confessional says, Meredith knows what happened. So this is a personal dig to me. Girl, ain't nobody thinking about you. It was not that serious, girl. So Jen says you cannot go be friends with her and be friends with me. I'm not saying choose, but at least tell me. That's exactly what you're saying, jackass. Like, what? So Whitney, her confessional, say, I don't understand why Jen is trying to get Meredith to pick a side. There's no side in Jews. And I was like, huh? What the hell does that mean? I don't know. That went over my head. So it's the night of the 20s party, and Jen shows her staff her look. She looked really good. Once again, doing the most, but she looked cute for the thing. Whitney looked gorgeous, as always. She's a beautiful woman. I hated her new confessional look. She tried to do like this Marilyn Monroe inspired hairdo, but I don't know if it was a wig or a lace front, or did she just have pieces added, but her forehead is huge as fuck, and I never noticed it until she wore that hairstyle. It just put a beam on her forehead. Like, her forehead looked like a goddamn iPad. I was like, no ma'am, Miss Miss Whitney. So she got, dancers there on a pole, dancing or whatever, stripping. but tastefully done. Meredith doesn't come in theme, and neither does really Mary. Lisa in her confessional say Whitney has a thing for strippers. How is that 1920s? I was like, bitch, it's not, but it's fun. Shut the fuck up, you hating asshole. So Jen arrives with a few drinks in her system, and when she gets inside and sees Meredith talking to Mary, she loses her shit, and the episode is gonna pick up next week where shit is about to go down because Jen is losing her goddamn mind and is about to become a terror, and I am here for it. I give this episode tonight an A. It was really good. I'm really loving how the storylines are emerging and progressing. I hate that Jen is not on my bad side. I'm not liking her. She childish and petty as fuck, and she's doing team too much. She putting 10 on 20, and she drawing shit out. Still don't like Lisa. Meredith seems like a punk to me. Loving Heather and Whitney so far. Love seeing Mary's dynamic with her family. It made me like her even more. She's funny as hell to me. I just like her. Those are my faves so far. So if you did get a chance to watch episode 3 before it airs next Thursday, let's talk down below in the comment section. And if you're just not watching it on the day, let me know what you thought of the episode. Make sure to thumbs up this video, like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell button. I love you guys, and I will see you on the next video.